My name is Anthony Schweitzer. I'm a solutions architect with Eagle. I know a lot of people on the webinar, but I don't know everybody. So I know a lot of you guys have been on these webinars before and you probably have seen my face, but I've been with Eagle for quite a bit now. I'm in my 9th year, which is crazy just to see how time flies. But you know, I was mentioning as people were joining, this is a newer slide for us, but it really has always been our MO. It's just always trying to find a way to talk about the way that we do things different. And obviously security has become more and more critical in everything we do over the years. And which makes, you know, defense in depth, having multiple layers of defense, having multiple layers of alerting and reporting to understand what's happening. Recovery in depth, that's another one that Brian came up with the kind of the term on that, and I really loved it because we talk about being able to recover from any scenario, any type of outage, and you really need depth there, right? Especially with what's going on in the security world and how people are attacking different ways of you being able to recover. So you have insurance policies on insurance policies, and then really our main goal is being able to have a conversation with you and not just be a point product that we're trying to solve. I had this happen just recently with a new customer. They were looking at a storage refresh and we just started asking questions and started talking about disaster recovery and all these different things, because I don't want to just sell you a SAN that might fit this need that you have, but I want to understand the big picture with you and help you be successful. And so all of these other factors come into play as we design something, even if it's not part of the scope for us and you're getting that somewhere else. It's just good to know where your mind's at so that I can help this product that we're actually solving for fit the right needs and fit into your big plan and really make you successful. So, yeah, I love the depth, defense in depth, recovery in depth, and design in depth. So, well, from there, I'm going to pass this over. So Jeff Olson, he is counterpart at Fortinet. Everything is Forti marketing there. We joke that you know, us being founded by engineers and ran by engineers, sometimes our marketing ideas and our naming convention is just very plain, right? With the eagle pictures and everything else, and it's like, Fortinet is that same way. Everything's 40. You know, you have 40 kids, they have 40 phones, they have, and so, but love it. But what's really cool about Fortinet is everything that they can bring to the table, especially from a security standpoint, and you know, talking about simplifying things, but having security. And he's going to touch on that today with their security mesh framework.
We've been around since 2000, so we're not a new company, and really that's the driver here, is that we're a very stable security networking partner that you can, you know, depend on, and we're going to be here for a long time. If you look at our global customer base, we have over 635,000 plus customers right now, and I'll show you a slide here in a second. We actually have we are the number one by unit shipped firewall company in the globe. Very strong billings, of course. We're a cash flow positive company. We're not going to be acquired. So if you choose to partner with Fortinet, you know, you're going to be with a company that's going to be around. We are still the owners and founders. Ken and Michael Z are still running the company as CEO and CTO. That's a strong, you know, statement in this world of mergers and acquisitions, and really what Fortinet has built. You know, as far as our products, and we'll touch about that, as far as our 50 plus products and services, being able to integrate those. We started as an engineering based company, and that's why we'll talk a little bit about more of that in our Fortinet security fabric and the portfolio. Everything is named 40 something. We're an engineering company. We didn't have the best marketing to begin with, so that's probably a little bit on that. I think it's kind of genius because actually it makes it very simple when you start looking at different products. It's very easy to know what those products do. They're not like, you know, some marketing type term, right? So just a little bit more about Fortinet, and I'll kind of jump through these. I've mentioned before, I mean, people don't realize this. We literally have, you know, 650 plus firewall customers alone, and 650,000 that is. So Right now, if you look at the latest polls in the landscape, we have over 50% of the global firewall units shipped. So what that gives us a strong advantage in a couple things. A lot of it in our forensics and our you know, our threat intelligence and things like that, because we have intel from those customers. But we also have a lot of, you know, different voices and be able to see things across the globe. So that's really what this is all about. When you look at our threat research team, you know, some of the numbers that jump out at you, we're neutralizing right now over 200 billion threat events a day in Fortinet land. So very global footprint and a lot of information. The other big thing is we're an engineering company. We pride ourselves in the leadership. We put our, you know, our ideas back into R&D. We have over 1,200 and plus, you know, global industry patents. When you look at that, why does that matter? If you look at some of the competition, you know, patents are everything in these technology days in this space. It really proves that you're in R&D and you're reinvesting into your growth of your products and your solutions. Hang on, this thing is not, it's going the wrong way. Sorry. Here we go. And last thing about Fortinet, obviously we're headquartered in Sunnyvale, Silicon Valley, right? I mean, that's where we are. We have a very big global reach and support, though. Most of our R&D is in North America, quite frankly. But we do, as we've built this, you know, growth in our company, we've scaled across the globe. We have dev centers and support centers. Follow the sun support. So if you're looking to, you know, leverage Fortinet products, know that you have a big support team behind you. We just went over 12,000 employees. That's, you know, quite a few people across the globe when you're talking about it. But what got us here? What are we doing different? You know, what's driving this? And I'm sure a lot of you guys on this webinar have these current, you know, infrastructure, digitalization, evolution. If you're talking about those, right, digital acceleration. There's a lot of different things. Work from anywhere was huge when COVID kind of forced all of us to our homes to work from. Obviously, that became a huge security and networking challenge. Applications are moving all over the place, right? They're going to the cloud. They still live in headquarters. Our users are in, you know, our businesses rely on getting those users to those applications and securing them, of course, obviously. If you look at the right side of this, the threat landscape is not going away. In fact, it's getting more evolved, if that's possible, right? Cyber criminals are getting very strategic. They're leveraging AI. They're leveraging some of the same things we do to stop them, to be able to get into networks and do, you know, bad things undetected is really their goal, right? So it's a constant balance of we're trying to, you know, enable this digital transformation, if you will, from a work environment. And we still have to somehow provide connectivity, but we have to, as that, you know, threat landscape evolves, we have to provide security against that, obviously. So what we're doing here at Fortinet is trying to, you know, consolidate. If we start, I talked about that above is where, you know, up top, here's all of your applications, you know, the internet, you have all these different manufacturers in space. And then all at the bottom, we have our users, right? They're traveling, we're working from home, we have campuses and branch locations. We have to provide connectivity to all of those different locations. If you look at that traditionally, up until the last few years, we've really had a siloed best of breed approach, right? We've put in security and networking measures to solve these challenges. But what does that do? It ultimately creates a lot of complexity, and a lot of people that have been in the networking or security space can relate to this. We might have 10, 12, 15 management councils, different products that don't share threat intelligence, right? They don't natively talk to one another. So while we're, you know, the best of breed products aren't a bad approach, it just is, it's really slowing down what we can do in terms of security efficacy. We end up with, you know, not enough people in our, you know, how hard is it to hire a good cyber SOC or NOC person right now, right? I mean, there's a cybersecurity shortage for sure when you look at our skills gap. So we need products that are going to work and enable our employees to do, you know, what they need to do in a more efficient manner. So Fortinet really has taken three approaches to this. Obviously we want to converge security and networking. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in depth here. But we really need to start looking at this platform approach, meaning we have to have these point products being able to talk to one another and be manageable across, multiple management planes into a single one. And then ultimately, how good is your threat intelligence, right? What does that look like from the products you're selecting? Does it do what it's supposed to do? The first and foremost is this convergence of network and security. And this is where most people are familiar with what Fortinet is, who we are, what products we sell. But really, there's a challenge to this, and it's kind of been that journey, if you will, of the switching, Wi-Fi, networking, connected world, routers, 5G, and then having that ability to take a next generation firewall and combine that into one secure networking operating system. And that's really what the FortiGate and FortiOS has been part of for 20 plus years now, is really developing this convergence. When you look at, and we'll talk about it a little bit more here in detail, when you start looking at what is all combined on a typical FortiGate, we're really a market leader in what we can provide you from, a security and networking appliance. And if I come over here and take a little dive into this, so talking about, solving that complexity challenge, right? If you look at a current FortiGate, or excuse me, a current landscape, a lot of times people have point solutions in there that are solving things like VPN connectivity, zero trust access, obviously AV, IPS, IDS. We need to be able to do web filtering and content filtering, right? Then you get into the networking world, right? You need Wi-Fi and switch controllers, whether that's cloud-based or on-prem. You also need to start talking about SD-WAN. I mean, a lot of people are really, that's a big transition in the last year or two that's been taking place, is consolidating those MPLS connections into and leveraging an SD-WAN vendor. If we take a look at what a FortiGate does, obviously when you start talking about that, there's multiple management planes in there. When you look at what a FortiGate really is, at the core of it is combining all of those features into one. We have one license, right? There's no SD-WAN, Wi-Fi controllers, switch controllers. All of that comes along on board a FortiGate. There's no extra licensing to do that. Obviously, it's first and foremost your next generation firewall. But as we start to scale into that convergence conversation, and we look at things like switching and wireless where it makes sense, if you're a current Fortinet customer, you already have that built in. And if you're not, it's one of the key things that we do as far as reducing, getting to a more simplified approach, but reducing CapEx, OpEx costs, obviously, to put everything under one umbrella. A couple keys to drive that home. I throw up some Gartner information. Gartner's important. Obviously we do a lot of third-party analysts. But when you look at, the one thing that stands out on this slide, and I know it's kind of an eye chart when it gets down to it, but Gartner has its magic quadrants, right? We are definitely been a leader, recognized as a leader in several of those magic quadrants for many years. We are in the visionary quadrant of the switching in Wi-Fi right now, and steadily moving up and to the right. The cool thing about this slide, and why I like to show it, is that for us, this is all one product. When you start looking at these other vendors and on here, they're separate solutions, meaning getting back to what we're doing in that consolidation. You have one license that puts us in three magic quadrants, and two of them as clear leaders. Whereas some of these other solutions, as you're trying to implement point solutions and whatnot, these are the vendors that have different products to achieve the same, recognition that we have here within Fortinet. So let's talk a little bit about that cybersecurity platform approach as we dive into that. And what does that look like? This is the obligatory, this is the marketing side of this, and it's Fortinet's. If you see Fortinet, you'll see this slide. We've had it for 4 or 5 plus years now. But what does it really mean? Obviously, it's kind of a approach, right? I mean, we have a very broad product portfolio, very broad, 50 plus services, products and services. And I'll show you a quick slide of that here in a bit. But The big thing is there's two things we're chasing, the integrated piece and the automated piece. Integration allows that threat intelligence to communicate from all the way from users, devices, endpoints to your traditional secure networking and switching wireless and next generation firewalls. And then ultimately, depending on where your cloud journey is, right, we have to be able to secure your on-ramp and off-ramp from those public clouds and do that under one operating system, one management plane. And that's really what this fabric is been our goal and our vision. The cool thing is, if we jump over here, Gartner, if you didn't know them, back to Gartner, they came out last year with this magical marketing world called cybersecurity mesh architecture. You may hear about it. And really it's a concept, it's an architecture, it's not a SKU, but it's the same concept we've been kind of chasing here for the last 15 plus years. Is that Gartner's finally saying, hey, you have all these point products that are great solutions on their own, but they don't communicate, they don't talk to each other. And so they've really been pushing this same concept, which was kind of a feather in Fortinet's hat, because we're saying we've been pushing the same thing, saying, by adopting a mesh or platform architecture, the financial impact of negative events is greatly reduced, right? We're able to share that threat intelligence across all of our stacks. And so really this is a journey. It's not something you're going to flip a switch and do it overnight. Fortinet's here, we partner with great folks like Eagle Technologies to help you on that journey, have those conversations about your challenges and where you're trying to go. But ultimately, if you start looking at this, going from those 10, 15, 30 plus vendors, down to a 10 vendor, architecture, and ultimately, hopefully down to 2 or 3 platforms over the next several years, you really see a lot of, SOC maturity, return on investment, that kind of stuff. If you do actually, Gartner went out and did some surveys, obviously, but there is a huge cost savings to doing this. And that's one of the things that Fortinet's striving to do, is to take some of those point solution costs and give you the ROI that we can deliver. As promised, this is an eye chart. There won't be a quiz on this. I should have Anthony put a poll out there on one of these, but these aren't all of our products and solutions. Kind of left, it's really lined up with that mesh architecture concept. So we have entities everywhere, right? We have branch locations, users, cloud, work from home, all of that stuff on the left. Where are people connecting from? And over on the far right, you have where does the applications and the data that they're trying to access live. In between there, we have, our different products that can secure that digital experience and provide obviously visibility and security across your digital footprint, if you will. Lots of different products in here. Obviously, we're known for our FortiGate down below. I kind of touched on that in the red. That's really, there's a lot of capabilities and features built into that FortiGate. We can have conversations, down the road around that if you're interested. But beyond that, we do have some, we have web application firewalls. We have endpoint security, of course. We do a lot of things. We have our own SASE solution, right, which is basically firewall as a service. So as you have those conversations, and you have different projects in mind or things that are needed to be worked on, keep in mind Fortinet has solutions that typically can fill those gaps. Last but not least is our threat intelligence, and it's probably not talked about enough. A lot of companies will come in and they'll start talking about, hey, we have the best products and the best threat intelligence. But when you start stacking that up behind the scenes, what does that really mean? I kind of talked a little bit about, 200 billion plus threat events neutralized every day in our world. What does that really look like? Well, we call it our FortiGuard Labs. Everything's 40, right? FortiGuard Labs is really our threat intelligence and security services branch, or our arm within Fortinet. We have over 500 plus threat researchers right now. They're analysts, engineers, different folks within our organization. The important part there is a lot of companies outsource this. Now, our FortiGuard Labs definitely interact with Interpol and government agencies and FBI and all of that stuff that you would expect. But we do all of our threat intelligence that ultimately then gets pushed down to your Fortinet products to make them, more secure. And what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, uniform across that endpoint, right? Whether it's the endpoint, the firewall, FortiMail is our mail, secure mail gateway, things like that. All of that threat intelligence is coming from one place. We don't rely on third-party vendors to do that. So we have a lot of leadership and a really secure method of delivering services to our products. So that's really about FortiGuard server, the FortiGuard threat teams. One thing I do like on the far right side of this slide, we do have, a lot of people don't realize, if you ever are in need of either, some augmentation from a threat landscape, or if you have been breached. So we have a full FortiGuard expert services, which really is meant to help companies out there and work side by side with them to either do post mitigation work or attack surface development work. So FortiGuard Labs is an active part of that. I've been sitting here talking about Fortinet, right? I would love to talk to any of you, that want to learn more. But we know it's a journey, right? You're not going to go and rip and replace all of your infrastructure. And so we definitely, we try to maximize existing investments as you take the Fortinet platform journey, if you will. We have over 500 plus what we call fabric ready partners. And some of these are our competitors, as you'll see some of the names on here. This isn't everyone, but we have deep integrations with a lot of other vendors. And we're kind of different that way. There's some of these vendors don't have integration natively back into their worlds, where we like to work with vendors. That can be through APIs or direct, what we call fabric connectors. And so in and out of our products, you'll see a lot of this integration to leverage those existing investments as you take if you start looking at Fortinet for solutions. I can sit here and talk to you all day. I'm biased, obviously, a little bit as far as how great Fortinet is and what we're doing out in the world. But we put our money out there in third-party analysts. So if you have any, questions around that or where we live, as far as we really depend on those third-party analysts and where we, shake out, if you will, against the competition, because it's important. They're independent third-party analysts that basically test your products and give you, credit or letter of recommendation, essentially, or not. So we don't hide the fact. We're definitely out there on a lot of Gartner quadrants. We do things with IDC, Forrester, all of those different third-party analysts. So certainly feel free to reach out if you don't know, or if you want to learn more about Fortinet on that aspect. And then lastly, here on this side of the fence, we're 100% channel partner, or channel partner led company. We do not sell direct, right? We rely on our great partners like Eagle Technology, who's part of the Focus program, Focus partners globally. And so what I love to do when I'm doing this with our valued partners is that as part of the Engage program, they have to be certified and trained. So Eagle's out there, as a Focus partner. My job is to help them, enable them, do these kinds of things for our partners, obviously. But they supply usually, obviously, all of the implementation, right? So they're Fortinet certified. They got the engineers to do that. We do that amongst our channel. So when you're reaching out to a Focus partner like Eagle Technologies, know that they can supply and do all of the implementation that Fortinet will entail. And then as summary, kind of just to hopefully help you on the quiz later. Obviously, we're a market leader. We're really after that integrated approach. We're about having conversations, right? We're about solving challenges in the networking and security environment. We're not about selling you point solutions. We want to understand your needs and how we can come to the table. We are definitely financially stable. We're going to be around. We're not here for the quick acquisition in this world. We're here to lead, and that kind of is shown by our patents and some of our R&D. Almost all of our engineering, our R&D is done in North America. So we are a North America first company, if you will, and we're 100% channel. We're here to, become a trusted partner of yours from a long-term standpoint. And with that, I'd love to thank all of you guys for joining.